I'm FD from Roll with FD.
I'm rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD, baby.
I'm rolling with FD.
And this is my co-host, Big John.
Hey YouTube, it's your boy Big John. Thank you for rolling with me and FD here on What's the Play.
We're here every week.
Big John, what's going on?
What's up? What's going on?
Talking sports, the hobby, pop culture, and much more.
Catch us every Tuesday night talking about sports, the sports car hobby, and current events. Go Bears.
Most of these teams that do not care about if they're winning ball games. They care enough about, are you interested in what they're doing?
Beckett probably going out of business or getting bought sooner.
I don't think Kawhi Leonard, if he comes back, he's going to end up going back out.
Dion, you don't got to like that he cocky, but he got a right to be.
Big John, if Jimmy Butler goes to the Bay, I'm on the ground and I'm not. And you all know we're going to bring on guests from the hobby and everywhere else that you want to hear from.
You have to be prepared for haters. You have to be prepared for people who don't like you.
I started opening up my first packs in 1976.
I don't want to interrupt you, but while you're talking, I just got some background entertainment for you, but keep going.
What are you playing? Michael Jordan.
We got Junior in the house and Paxton in the house.
A lot of players got to find a way to win based on their own strengths.
What would we say is John Morant's strength?
Attacking the rim.
You know, small guards attack the rim, don't play long. This is the What's the Play podcast. Big John!
What's up, FD?
Straight from
How you doing?
Town. How you doing, man?
I'm good.
What does your shirt say? May your life someday be as awesome as your...
As you pretend on Facebook.
There you go. And on IG and on TikTok.
This shirt gets a lot of attention when I wear it out.
I bet it does. So right now, Indiana is up by 6 points. I don't think they're going to win this game.
What? How much time left?
3 minutes, 6 seconds. Been a lot of showboating tonight. We had Halliburton kissing the three fingers to the sky.
Like cat?
Yeah, hitting the three in front of Brunson's face. Been live. These guys, Matherin. First off, Benedict. You naming your baby Benedict?
Hey, it's my college, you know.
Yeah, it's your college, but you ain't pick that name. Benedict and Tyrese Halliburton. These guys are characters, man.
Yeah.
They like to do a lot of stuff to try to get under your skin, but it's like elementary stuff. It's not gonna work.
Listen. They'll probably beat the Knicks, but if they play Oklahoma in the finals,
over with.
They're giving up 28 and a half free throws a game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's not a recipe you want to be doing going against OKC.
No. It's gonna be lights out, man. We'll see if they can get past the Knicks. I don't know. I don't know why it's such a tough matchup for New York. So my thoughts. I think we need to shop Hart and Bridges. The Knicks have to shop them to become better.
No, it's length on length. It's the problem, right? And then the mismatches, there's no length when it comes to the point guard position. So when you have Brunson doesn't have the length to go against to guard Halliburton 1-on-1, and vice versa. You know, so it's length on length. Cat and Mouse Turner, they match up well together. There's not a favorable defensive matchup for the Knicks.
What about if you got a real center in there and move Cat to the power forward?
I mean, that could help, but who's a real center?
Right now, you have big dollar items or you have no dollar items. You're right about that.
Yeah.
I think that's the same thing Golden State faced. A lot of these teams that could take a step, they just don't have that quote unquote real center.
Yeah, I mean, but think about it, right? There's no centers that play back to the basket. There's no power forwards that play back to the basket. So what's the real center?
Yeah, you're right.
You want your center to hit threes.
You're speaking facts. That's true. We have more guards and small forwards that play back to the basket than centers in the league.
Yeah. It's not.
Go ahead.
It's not a skill that you have, Like Julius Randle. You think of Julius Randle. He don't go to the post no more. He started his career as a post player.
Yes. Because I watched him with the Lakers. Yes.
Yeah. He don't go down to the block no more. Three dribble.
I wonder what it is.
The art of Debo Felton and Marcus Aldridge back to the basket, one dribble pull up, that's gone in the game. You don't see that in the game anymore. When the last time you've seen somebody get the ball in the post, one dribble moves, and then a move?
Good point.
Even Jokic, when he gets in the post, it's still a couple of dribbles and then a move, right? Or pass back out. Same thing with Cat.
They gotta start calling when Joker. I love Joker. First off, love his game. But when he gets in that post, he's clearing out with that other arm.
Oh, yeah, with the off arm, yeah.
We gotta call that. That just can't be. Other than that, you can't do anything with him.
If front offices and coaches stop getting enamored by the analytics of the 3-point shot and really take a look at their teams and take a look at the game and realize that, hey, somebody being able to get the ball in the post, get a big in foul trouble, get to the free throw line, or hit a quick jump hook, it's kind of valuable. But until that becomes back valuable, you won't see it in the game.
Well, we've seen that some of the top shooting 3-point teams from velocity of shots are out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Gone. Boston Celtics, you can just keep naming them. Gone.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Karl-Anthony Towns just had someone fall into his knee. They went to commercial with him laying on the sideline.
Oh.
So it doesn't look right. He was gripping and holding his knee.
Hope it's just a sprain.
And his type of basketball, he won't do well if he's recovering from a knee problem or a torn knee ligament. That will greatly hurt his game going forward.
But again, you look at Karl-Anthony Towns, you look at Anthony Davis, probably 2 of the top 5 in just skills of big man, right? Of just skills. Don't play down in the post. Don't want to play down in the post on either side of the ball.
Hold on, man. Let me see what happened to this guy. Oh, he went knee to knee.
Ooh.
They went knee to knee. Him and what's his name? What's the little guard that came back and hit the threes?
Naismith?
Yeah, he went knee to knee with Towns. Towns still on the sidelines, on the seats, curled up. Oh, he went knee to knee and popped his knee back. His knee hyper.
That's a torn something. That's a torn meniscus.
He's still on the bench, bro, laid up. He's out here.
Yeah.
He's out here limping, but he popped his knee back.
That's a ooh, that's a torn meniscus.
He looks like he's in a lot of pain.
Yeah, that is painful.
He's not gonna be. I don't see this dude playing next game. That's a serious right there.
Unless it's a sprain, he is not playing this game. Can we discuss what's annoying me? What is NBA playoffs?
What's up?
The complaint about games being 1 day rest or just a travel day.
Well, but hold up. You know that this athlete today is going to complain about that. And Aaron Gordon came out and talked about it. You already know that this athlete today wants 2-3 days rest in between games.
Y'all don't. But then you don't. But you want 2 or 3 games rest, but you don't want to play into July.
No.
Like you can't have it both ways.
They really want the season shortened.
You can't have it both ways. If you go 2 and 3 the game, you're playing into the middle into July.
Well, who else have you heard complaining about that?
Man, I've heard media. I've heard some of the players on their podcast complaining about that. I heard Aaron Gordon. Even they were saying that's the reason why Curry got hurt and the reason why. And I'm just thinking, Tibbs played people 40 minutes, and they ain't had a soft tissue injury yet.
Nobody on that team complaining. Yeah.
Huh?
No one on the Knicks are complaining. I'm not public.
No. That's not publicly. But it's just soft, man, and I don't like it.
Man, they're getting chippy out here. They're doing.
Oh yeah, they don't like.
Siakam hit Josh Hart in the face with a backhand.
Ooh.
Getting real chippy out here. I think Hart just fouled out. Yeah, he just fouled out. 12 points, 36 minutes. I think Indiana's going up 3-1. Up by 7. Okay,
Yeah.
so can we jump into last night's game?
I did not watch last night's game, so you have to fill me in on the actual game, not the stats. I see the stat sheets.
Well, Minnesota's bench. Nickel, these guys got busy. The bench scored 60 points.
Okay.
They were Nickel Alexander was playing his butt off last night. Moves I've never seen him make, taking people off the dribble, penetrating from the free throw line, doing a bunch of stuff, shooting threes. DiVincenzo had 20-something points, shooting threes. But 2 guys named Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards
Didn't show up. What about Rudy?
did not show up. Rudy had a fair game. Let me check him out. He had a fairly decent game.
So for the 3 games I've seen in this series, I want to say Rudy is not affecting shots as much.
No,
because he has to be out guarding Che.
Yeah.
All right. That 7-1, huh? That 7-1-7-1 matchup. That lane is open a lot more this series than it was last series.
Yes, and like Rudy last night had 13 points, 5 of 8 shooting, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 32 minutes. And what was his plus minus? Plus minus was +4. Not a bad game.
No, solid game.
He even altered Chet's shot a couple of times. You can't say anything bad about what Rudy did last night. So you got Rudy, you got DiVincenzo, you got Nickel, you got Jay McDaniels had 22 points.
Mm-hmm.
Played pretty decently. Nas Reed had 11. He just didn't get anything and to lose by 2 points. He didn't get anything from 2 main guys.
And what Edwards said, he made the right plays. He didn't get enough shots. You can't say that.
But to me, it's the same old thing. It's like when we were on the playground as kids, and I remember a couple of times we would play against different grades, and you'd have a kid bumping their chops about what they're about to do, and then when you shut that person down, they react just like Anthony Edwards did. Like, I played well. I mean, I don't, y'all may think that, but I don't think that. Like, my thing is this. I asked myself this question about a lot of players. Like, do you have some coaching on how to answer these questions? Or are you just answering these questions?
They just answer these questions these days.
So how does a kid like Shai and others know how to answer questions?
Well, you seen Brunson the other night when talking to Barkley, and Barkley talked about Tibbs rotation. He's like, I had a good comeback, but let me not say that. And just being professional. Like, Anthony Edwards, I'll say this. What he does, his filter, I would be afraid to hear the things he doesn't say out of his mouth.
What's said other places?
Mm-hmm.
What is said? Oh, it was just like Jalen Williams the other day. Salters asked him a question after the game, and he was like, "Yeah, played well. We did well. What else you want me to say?" And then she turned to Shay and was like, "Shay, let me ask you some questions." And he said, "I'll elaborate for you."
Yeah.
Like I don't get that. I don't know what that is. I do know Caruso is a problem. And his stat sheet can say 5 points and a negative 2+-. He's affecting the game.
Yeah. But again, a negative 2+- is not a bad plus-minus.
No, not at
That
all.
just means somebody got a shot off, scored on you once or twice. That's not a bad plus-minus.
Not at all. Brendan likes your shirt, man.
Yeah, listen, this shirt is hilarious. And I see people stop and read it when I'm out.
Very true.
It is very true.
Very true. That's the thing that nobody talks about. And definitely not in the hobby. People are not going to talk about it.
I mean, I posted my graded collection of Kobe White the other day. Somebody came on the comments like, he's mid at best. I was like, okay.
That's something I never understand. I never understand why we want to somebody. If you post cards, I don't care who it is, somebody has to say that. Like for me, for instance, I'm a big proponent of Shaq. I'm a big proponent of Steph Curry
and Wiseman.
Whenever I say anything about anything, someone will say, "But you're a Wiseman fan." No one will say you're a Shea fan.
Yeah.
No one will say you're a Steph Curry fan.
My thought when I seen that was like, okay, your point is what? I like him. I'm collecting him. I like him because that's what I'm choosing to collect.
And he's a good player. I'll put it on top of that. He's a good player. He's better than a lot of these cats running around in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He's a good player.
I seen a post in a group yesterday. I think it was Sports Car Dancing group. Somebody had 2,060 unique Lewis Robert cards. And everybody was like, oh, he wasted money. He was a fan of the player. He collected the cards of the player he's a fan of.
Mm-hmm. Big John,
the monetary value of it don't matter.
You know that's awesome in the hobby, man. You know that.
Yeah.
There's only certain people that think like that.
Like the monetary value is important, but it's not important in the same sense. That's the person he chose to collect.
Yes.
He got all these unique cards of them. He thought he spent his money well.
Yes.
Whether Lewis Robert, and again, person I collect as well, his career isn't going where we thought it was. You can still be a fan of somebody. Like it's called being a fan.
Because at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer, and we've talked about this before. Most people's careers don't go the way we thought they would go. That's most players. If you like to play, you like the player.
And it's my money.
Yes. And nobody's going to give you money to go buy cards. But they'll critique what you buy. They'll critique what I buy.
And with lately one of the hot topics being addiction in the hobby, especially when it comes to gambling. And remember, it's a hobby. So seeing somebody collect a player like that, the player they collect, even though the money isn't on the back end to sell right now, it's refreshing. You need collectors.
Yes.
As much as you need flippers and you need investors, you need an end user, a collector.
But I played the game before, so people that critique some cars, I'll ask them, just for giggles, who do you buy and collect? Some of those answers. So if they say Kobe White is mid, who they actually tell you they're collecting and why they're collecting them. Now, let's say somebody said, I'm collecting player X who has not panned out because I'm trying to invest in the hobby. Those two things don't match up, right? I've had people tell me I've had people tell me that too. They've talked about cards. Then you ask them who they collect and why. It's illogical coming at you.
It's like saying I'm invested in Tyrese Maxey because 2 years ago people was clamoring over him, and I'm hoping that it gets back that way. And if that's what you do, that's fine. But do you know have you taken to consideration the end result of what's going to happen on the back end if he stays in Philadelphia as the third wheel? Will he get back to where he was 2 years ago when people wanted his cards?
Probably not. No.
My whole philosophy is I collect people that I like because that keeps me detached from the monetary value. How much of if it goes up, if it doesn't.
I can see that.
You know. There are other people I'm buying and grading and selling for the purpose of making money to collect my Kobe Whites. But speaking of that, what do you think about Prism Deca NBA?
I told you I liked it.
So
I think it looks great. It's not being talked. People aren't buying it. It was expensive, and it's not being talked about.
It's not, man. I seen Roth pick up the 1-on-1 Black Shimmer LeBron on Twitter today, right? Great card. So again, I'm going through a rabbit hole, and I got to finish. I'm starting my research because I'm like, well, what's the next Kobe White auto I want?
Okay.
Right. So I was like, it doesn't have to be a rookie auto. And so I got started looking at Deca.
Yeah.
Huh?
It does.
Because I also was looking like, if I'm gonna pick up some Currys, what's a Deca auto right now for Curry? And even some of these numbered autos are less than 700 out of the Deca product. Yeah. Not bad. Exactly. Graded. Some of this graded out of like 150 sold for like 7,000 PSA 10s. Not bad.
Yes.
So now I have to start this little side research project now, just going through Deca, and I'm still not buying basketball right now, but I'm like, it may be a good exercise, just research on some Deca and see what's out there.
I think it's a very nice brand. Looks good. I think more people will talk about it in the future than they do right now. That's what I think of it.
See, I like oddball collections like that. Like I like Brooklyn collection from in baseball because it doesn't come out every year. Like I like little odd stuff like that, and it's very niche, which means it's harder to resell because people don't know.
Like I still can't understand why National Treasures is valued more than Flawless. I don't understand that. Flawless is game used material. National Treasures is not.
Yeah, I don't understand the value in National Treasure at all anymore.
To me, it's all perceived or made up value. I mean, it doesn't really. You got a fake patch. Maybe that player wore it while they were signing. You know that's not.
Just that, because people have opened up the patches and it's been a completely different player from a completely different team. And I think there's a few cases where it wasn't even the same sport. So I don't understand the value in National Treasures. No, National Treasures is out of my price range anyway for the most part. So we won't. But I was also like thinking, right? We have to stop justifying or saying that the market is healthy based off the sales of the top tier players.
But Big John, okay, so Big John, you and I both know that if we want to market something, if we want to sell a certain idea or concept, that's where you will go. You would say the car market is healthy. Look what this Bentley sold at. You wouldn't say these players here, cars are down 40%. You can't
But
market that and get dollars for it.
I mean, you gotta use both sides of your brain, right? If you think
Nope.
about it in basketball terms of conferences, right? You think the East is weak because they only have 3 teams, over 50 games, while the West is strong because the West has like 17, 48 games or better. Trying to find so I understand why the West is better, right? They're middle teams that didn't win 60 are lumped together and are winning the same amount of games. Mm-hmm. You're going to have the outliners, the OKCs, who are going to win 65, 66 games, right?
Yeah.
But what that middle tier being come together tells me, okay, this is a strong conference, right? Mm-hmm. Versus the Cavaliers won 65 games and the Bulls won 37. No high. Those middle teams in the East winning 42 of the 38 games and fighting for the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th spot. That tells me that's a weak conference. Not the top teams, not the low teams.
Mm-hmm.
So like you can't say, for instance, WNBA is booming because of Caitlin Clark are selling up. And then you look at someone like Aja Wilson, who cars are selling at 10% of that value. That doesn't mean WNBA market is up to me. It means that one player is up, but overall of it is down because the best player is not selling.
But you're coming from the perspective of the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming from the perspective as the retailer, the market, and then there's some marketing involved. So yeah, I look at it just like you. I look at it as, I had this philosophy: there's 2 players every generation. Yeah. Then when you get under that, who are the other players that are both marketable from a player perspective, fans like, and are producing on the basketball court? And then when you get past that, what do you like as a consumer? And then when you get past that, it is what it is. But they're not going to market the hobby or any market like that. Mm-hmm. They're just not going to do it. That's why, as a consumer, you got to be able to think about what you're doing.
And soon enough, we're gonna have to stop calling it the hobby.
Well, what would you call it?
Huh?
The business endeavors?
The business of sports cards.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's that marketing that gets you down those different paths of gambling and addiction and false justification.
So let me ask this, since we're having this question. I usually have this conversation, but I'll have it. Are we really about the kids? Is this hobby really about our young people?
There's a lot of nuance in that in that answer to that, right? Because from a business perspective, yes, we want more young people into the hobby to go through the cycle of getting this from our.
So let me say that. I'm talking about healthy, not just doing something. I'm talking about the maturation of a young person, teaching them, learning. Are we really about that?
So that's the way it comes to us. Overall, fanatics, Fanini, no. Right? Now, if you take it down to level to some of these car shop owners around the country, yeah, they are about teaching, showing how to come. Some of these dealers at shows, yeah, they'll now about the buck. Hey, you offer too much. I'm gonna give you a couple dollars to your kid. Hey, let me show you how to look up. There are I would say 65-35. 65% of the people in the hobby are about good teaching, good training, good interaction with kids in the hobby. But you're gonna have 35 people that are just about 35% that are just about the money. And at the same point, you're gonna have kids that are just about the money of sports cards as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's 14, 15-year-olds on Whatnot selling cards.
Mm-hmm.
How is that possible?
Well, like I've been to shows. I think I've been to shows where there are kids walking around with cards, and they go to lunch, and they're with their parents, and they're pulling out 15 grand. Or what
but on a platform like Whatnot, when you're supposed to be 18 years old to sell, how you got 14 and 15-year-olds selling cards?
Because it's business.
Yeah, it's business, right?
It goes back to my
even on eBay, you're supposed to be 18 years old selling cards. And I'm sure you got 14, 15, 16 years on eBay selling cards.
Yeah.
So again, I think 65% of the people are about it. From the big brand, big box businesses, they're about it in the sense that we need to keep them in the cycle where they collect as kids, when they get out of it because of life and come back into it because of nostalgia. Right? Because everybody's story, no matter who you talk to, is the most part, hey, I used to collect these as a kid. I remember getting them as a kid, seeing them in the stores, but by myself or with parents. And then life, college, school, relationships happen. And then, something happened where I got back in it. Right? How many people have we talked to over the past year, and that's been basically verbatim their story?
Yeah.
So the big Fanatics, Tops, Panini, Upper Deck, they need kids in that cycle. They need me and you taking our kids to car shops, taking our kids to shows, opening back to them. Right? And it's our job to teach them the right way. For back on us, it's our job to parent them and teach them, hey, the reasoning behind why we open, why we buy singles, why we break, and how we do it in a financial safe way. It's not on these companies to do that for us.
Well, I'll say I'll play devil's advocate. So Suda says can't be a hobby police. Do what you enjoy. But I'll play devil's advocate. So Big John left. He'll be back. 14-year-olds don't have to claim it on their taxes. There are many reasons. There are many reasons. Let's get Big John back in here. Brendan came. No, don't worry about it. You might get dropped. It's all good. Brendan said 14-year-olds don't have to claim it on their taxes. That's one reason. But I'll play devil's advocate. So when I came through my parents' household, and I had coaches, and I went to school and did science projects and various other things. Along the way, I had mentors, and I learned stuff outside of my household. We are in a hobby. People talk about community, right? So what I learned coming out of my household, academically, socially, teamwork, where is that replicated in the hobby? Outside of your house, Big John, away from you and away from me, away from your wife, away from April, where are the children learning how to conduct themselves and make moves outside of the person that's walking with them at the show?
Instagram, Discord, and other social media places.
There you go. And now, what is that? What are they learning there?
We don't know.
We don't know.
But here's even more thing, right? You see, well, the gambling nature of the hobby. why doesn't these cards come with a same type of disclaimer for addiction that lottery tickets come with?
Because I think
we go to the casino.
We act like that doesn't exist.
Because we call it a hobby.
That's right.
Right? You hide the bad underneath the gale of it's a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Hobby is supposed to be fun. Hobby is supposed to be relaxing. That is part of the definition of a hobby. Mm-hmm. Right? You know, you lift weight as a hobby. You lift weights to do competition. That's a profession.
Yes.
Right? So if you're collecting for yourself, that's a hobby. Mm-hmm. If you're collecting and selling cars on eBay and other platforms, that's a profession.
Mm-hmm. Or some will call a side hustle.
Side hustle, profession, same thing, right?
Yep.
You're doing something to make money. That's it can be a hustle, which you have to hustle. Like selling cars ain't easy as people think it is.
Brendan said Surgeon General's warning label on packs would be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it would take, I think, a really sophisticated lawyer could bring a class action against one of these car companies.
On what grounds? What would the claim be? What would the claim? What would the class action be?
Like, that's sophisticated, right? Could be the lack of oversight with how many people lost to gambling, been addiction stuff.
Yeah, some form of understood negligence is what you're saying,
right? Some form of understood negligence, okay. Right? I just think it'll take a very sophisticated lawyer because it's a lot of ambiguity.
Yeah,
ambiguity. Yeah, in sports cards that you have to craft your claim again. Claim, words would matter in this case, right? Wording and words matter to do that. But especially against some of these places where you can buy cars at online outside of eBay.
Mm-hmm. But with all this previous knowledge needed and understanding of the hobby and controlling your gambling, this is why I think people don't have the resolve to figure out what they're going to do on their own. This is why I think people follow other people on what they're buying and why they're buying it and then the Joneses of Big John. I could be at a table. Let's give me a hypothetical, and let's say you're buying $8,000 in cars. We're both standing at the same table, right? Mm-hmm. I just have the personality. I'm good with you spending $8,000. I don't need to spend $8,000. So I'm not. There's no keeping up with the Joneses for me, and what somebody else is doing. There's a lot of that goes on.
Yeah, like for me, I see friends make moves in Pokemon, right? Mm-hmm. But before I go try to make moves in Pokemon, I'll send them cards. Like, so this is what I'm looking at. Like, I talk through a lot of things with various people before I purchase. So would I. At times it's detrimental because I end up not doing anything because it's too much information to make, and I didn't make a decision. Mm-hmm. Other times, I make a decision, trust my gut, trust my research, and see how it pans out that way. And it pans out well. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it doesn't. Mm-hmm. Most time it does. But research is important. We know that.
We know that. But that's another arm of marketing that's not going to be talked about.
And researching more than what last sold for. Right? What's the comp?
Much more than a comp. Much more. For me, the comp is when I'm thinking about purchasing something. It's not a part of my research as far as just because I see high prices on a Trae Young. Just giving examples, not hating on Trae Young, but just because I'm giving, I see high prices on eBay or some other source on Trae Young, does that mean I need to go buy Trae Young? I need to do more research.
I think eBay would probably never do this, but one thing I wish they would do is have date listed.
I thought it was on eBay.
No, you can't go see date listed.
I thought you could see how long it's been on eBay though, can't you? No,
not that I know. If somebody knows, show me, because there are things that have been on there. Or even better, show when you. So when you go like a card and you watch a card, show when you started watching the card.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
Right. If you don't want to give me the date, huh?
There are some things I watch and commit to memory on how long it's been on, but I think you're right. There is no definite date.
So I like Macari for that fact that I can see what date it was listed, and then I can go send a message like, "Hey man, what is it gonna take to get a deal done? You've had this listed for 6 months. I really like this card. This is what the comps are. This is what an offer. What can we meet at?" Right.
Smoothness has a comment here, which is very true. There are a lot of people who participate in the hobby for reasons, but they don't last long.
Hey, Smoothness.
What talking about is to have somebody around. What's up? Go ahead.
Here, I was thinking about. I've been driving the last couple of days. I was thinking about a lot.
Yeah.
What does participate in the hobby actually mean? Right? Is it buying and selling? Is it researching cards? Is it listening to the podcast? Or is it all three that included? What is actually participating in the hobby mean? Is it being in a Facebook group? Does that mean you participate in the hobby? What does that mean? Or is it different for everybody?
It's probably different for everybody.
Right?
But I would like to know what Smoothness thinks. You see,
yeah.
Because
just like if I talk to my wife and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying this card today." I don't know. Does that mean I participate in the hobby today? If I send messages on IG, does that mean I participate in the hobby? What does that mean to participate in the hobby? If I go buy a card and never post it, did I participate in the hobby?
I go buy cards and I don't post.
Yeah, I just think that's participating in the hobby is one of those sayings that we hear in NBA basketball right now. Physicality. It's one of those buzzwords, those buzz sayings.
I hate
right.
I hate the word physicality.
Physicality, verticality.
I hate it all.
That's what you heard all postseason.
Anycality. I can't stand it.
So it's just one of those things, and I know I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but
you're not.
It's one of the things I was thinking about.
No, you're not. I mean, to tag on to what you're saying, though, if I hit dollar bins at a show and somebody else goes and buys a $15,000 card, are they participating more than me? One thing I noticed walking into some of my first shows, and I still notice this now, like I've been around people, man, who have played sports and been pro and then play sports and then stop playing. And, like I don't get into the machismo of it.
The competition of it, right?
I don't get into
it. It's not a competition.
Oh, it's not a competition.
How your way?
A lot of people, it is. definitely. I got man. How much? I've seen people at shows I'm talking to. I came here with $5,000. I'm like, okay.
To do what with?
FD, how much you spend today? Maybe $150. That's about it. And I'm good with that.
Yeah. But to do what with? You came here with $5,000 to do what? What was your goal? It's $5,000 to get things for your collection. It's gonna make you happy when you open your binder and put them up. You came with $5,000 to buy inventory so you can go try to resell it on other platforms.
Or did you come here with $5,000 because your friend told you to buy something, and it probably is going to be worth $250?
Yeah,
in 12 months.
What the why behind the money you spend is very important.
The why behind everything.
I was trying. So I went into a car store here in South Carolina when I got here with my son today, and he goes, "Where are all the expensive cars?" I'm like, "Why? Why are you worried about that? You're not buying no cars today." They had all Pokemon in displays from $2.50 to about $85 max. I'm like, this is great. People who want to come actually collect cards can come and buy cards at a price that they don't have to worry about paying, that doesn't affect their bills. All right. And I talked to the so I was like, yeah, we're just a family shop. We're just a little family shop. I asked him, like, do you grade these yourself? Because he had a lot of PSA 8s, a lot of PSA 9s. And my son's loud, so he heard him. He's like, we don't, I have a bunch of the Moonbeyonds and things like that, but we don't sell them. We're a family shop. We don't want to be that shop that's got high-end stuff. I used to keep that for my personal collection. We just sell the cheaper stuff that we buy. And they were far off a TCG player, but they wasn't far off how much stuff was on eBay. Like some cards were like PSA 8, Pikachu, whatever. It had sold for like $28 on eBay. They had it in the store for $30. I was like, oh, that's not too far off in my mind, looking at it, because I don't use TCG player enough. But I'm like, it's $5, $2 difference, $5 difference. I can go eBay and buy it for $35 and pay $5 in shipping. I could just buy it here now. And I was trying to explain to my son that no, I'm not buying anything because I'm not big into Pokemon. I would have just got stuff to have at the show with me this weekend, but that would have been of no value because if nobody bought it, or had to put it up on eBay to sell it, it would be at a loss. So no, I'm not buying anything. But if I did collect Pokemon, yeah, I would pick up these things up because it's cheaper. It's the same price as me buying it online, and I can support something local. Right? And like, this is a great place for people who actually want to buy and collect Pokemon cards because their prices aren't super high, and it was a clean, nice store. And he's like, hey, I'm gonna have Destin Roberts tomorrow. I'm gonna have it for the same price that David Adams has it for tomorrow. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll keep that in mind. Like this is a great shop for people actually in this community that want to buy and collect cards, because it's not about getting the biggest and best dollar.
But a lot of our content that are what you call them, the influencers, talk about high dollar.
And again, my son, TikTok all day, every day. Right? Where the high dollar cards? This ain't about high dollar cards right now, son. One, you ain't buying no cards today, so shut your mouth. Two, yeah, I just want to see them. Yeah, but I just want to see them, expose them to a risk because they have high dollar cards, and that exposes them to being break-ins and other risks that they don't have to deal with. That's being right. a family shop.
A very business savvy business owner thinking like that.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you have shops with very expensive cars with just a glass pane between you on the street and entry into the shop.
And an alarm system with a 7-minute delay, 7-minute response time. So like,
And like April has talked to me before, full transparency. I'm not really big on posting a lot of stuff online. I'm just not. It just doesn't. I think my life experiences just tells me not to do that frequently. So I'll buy stuff and I purchased it. It's stored in its proper place, and I'm moving on with life.
Mhm.
I don't always feel the need that the cards that I have on my Instagram haven't changed in years. I just don't feel the need to. I don't know. That's just me. But I
For me,
on things.
again, and we buy two different tiers of cards. But for me, my cards being $50 or less, I don't necessarily mind.
See that? Yeah. I can
I
definitely
don't
see.
post in mine because I don't view them as a threat. Come rob me sign.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to if I'm putting up a one-on-one Shai, I'm like
Yeah.
that's a little, you know.
That's what I think about. Now, some of the cards that Junior and I broke, or G and I broke, that are like family fun stuff, that's a whole different ball of wax to me. Yeah. But I also don't go in shows. We've talked about this before with the normal carrying devices, and I don't walk around with cars just out and about and talking. And yeah, I'm a very private person, I guess, which is probably the 180 from posting anything about something. But that's just stuff I think about.
I feel like this, right? Christmas Day, right? Your parents ever tell you don't throw the boxes out right after Christmas?
Yeah.
Or wait till the day, right? Wait till the morning of garbage pickup before you throw them out.
Yep.
So people don't know what you got in the house for Christmas.
Yeah.
That's so. But if you got a Fisher Price toy, that can go in the trash. Yeah. You got a 40-inch TV, 70-inch TV. Don't put that box out yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So I feel like that. Like I feel safer with our post because of the value of the cards. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I get it. I completely understand. Hector says, I don't follow Card Collector 2 anymore because he just shows cheap boat cards for his whatnot sales. Bored to me, honestly.
I can see that.
Yeah. Also, I'll add, it's not like I watch him all the time, but when I first started watching Card Collector 2 during the COVID time span, is him digging through dollar bins.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the fact that he was showing that and walking through that. So that sparked me to watch him initially. Now, I mean, today we have a lot of influencers that go out and look for whatnot cards because whatnot is paying them to do that and to advertise for them.
I think that's, Hector, I can't speak for you. Right. I watch Card Collector 2 less. I don't watch his shorts anymore because it's the same thing. It's repetitive. Not because I don't like that he does dollar bins. Not that I care that he has buying stuff for his whatnot. He's running a business. He's running a car shop and a business. But he popularized dollar bins.
He did.
Every dealer at a show should be thankful for Card Collector 2. Because he popularized dollar bins and people trying to find things in a dollar bin.
Mm-hmm.
As far as that being the same content each and every day, I can see that being boring. I do like his new show that he has, his interviews he's doing. Some good listens, some good nuggets of different things and people he's interviewed. And every controversy he's been in, I think from any standpoint of morality and what should have been done, he's done the right thing. So I don't have a bad thing really. I don't know Ryan personally, but I definitely do not watch more of the dollar bin pickup videos or the deal videos as much as I used to.
So let me ask you this. So we're flowing tonight, and I like this conversation because you typically don't have this conversation.
Mhm.
Why don't people like Card Collector 2 and Jeff?
Man, I don't know. You have to ask somebody who doesn't.
Have you heard anybody tell you why?
No, I
Why?
haven't heard anybody tell me why.
I've heard
I've
some
heard
people
anybody-
tell me that they don't like Card Collector 2 because he got his startup money from his parents.
It's not like a personal problem.
That's what I'm thinking. That's the same thing I think. Mm-hmm.
Most people got their startup money from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's from your parents, people that believe in you,
Mm-hmm.
people that you don't want to let down.
So let me just say this. You know, I'm always playing devil's advocate since we're talking tonight. Michael Rubin got his startup money from his parents.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference between Michael Rubin and Card Collector 2?
So bank accounts, nothing.
Nothing. Right?
They people.
All right. Just want to check in. Because several people have told me this in person. And you know. I don't hate folks for succeeding at something or for doing well at something. I'm not wired like that.
I mean, listen, you can get mad that somebody started on second or third base while you started with 2 strikes. That happens. It's life.
Yeah.
Just like you think you started with two strikes, the kids growing up in the orphanage think they started with 2 strikes. That's always somebody had it worse than you, and that's always somebody had it better than you.
Well, Brendan says Rubin isn't a collector for starters. Has Card Collector 2 introduced himself as a collector?
Yeah, he collects. He collects Ohio State.
Okay, yeah. But he's really a business person.
He's a business person, but he was a collector first.
He talks more in his content about running his business than
he does run his business, but he also has a lot of content about, hey, I just picked up this Ohio State player. I can't think of his favorite player. So it's a obscure linebacker from Ohio State that is of no value to an overall hobby, but him that he talks about. He picked up this and he buys. So he's a collector. Rubin isn't a collector. Fine, Rubin never said he was a collector. We know this is a business for Michael Rubin, and it's a money machine for Rubin. But he's all in on it, right? You can tell Rubin is at least trying to be all in on it when he talks about it. And have they gotten everything right? No, because I was pissed with Fanatics when they couldn't get into Fanatics Collect with my same password I had from PWCC after I did all the right things, and it took me 3 months to get in there.
Yeah.
Right. And I had to complain and tag Rubin and somebody else to actually get it fixed.
I remember that.
Right. So they ain't done everything right either. But I mean, people hate a lot of people for their success. I don't watch content of a lot of people, not because I don't like the person, because the content no longer speaks to me or fits the need, fits where I'm at in the hobby. Just like you grow out of TV shows, you know? So it's just one of those things. When it comes to content, for me, it's just one of those things, right? I think we try to do a lot of interview.
Listen to this one. Wanda Franco is super collector. FD Big John is an average show, and you are 1 of 1. Let's talk about it. What is that? What does this statement mean? I didn't get that. Wanda Franco.
I think it's talking about because we collect different tiers. I collect the lower tier. You collect in a mid-tier, higher tier of cards than what we collect.
Yeah, that would make me a 101. There are people that buy stuff way more expensive. What I do, let me explain to people what I do. So I come in through ascertaining who the player is and where they at on the scale of collectability, and I determine in my own manner who I'm going to buy and at what price, anticipating there's going to be a jump in price.
Here's also a difference between me and FD. FD is more patient than me.
Way more.
FD is way more patient than I am.
Way more.
Right. FD will say
probably more than most people. I've been in the hobby for a long time. I've seen a lot of quick stuff pop, and then you don't even know who the player is.
FD will make the necessary move, save the necessary money to get the card the price point he wanted at.
That's right.
I like being able to go. I don't have any PCAs in my collection right now. Ooh, eBay $1. That's $1. That's $5. That's $10. That's $5. Boom. That's $50 I just spent.
But even saying that, look at the player that you're talking about. You've already done your research. Yeah. Look at the player you're talking about. You're not just out here grabbing some Joe.
No,
you're grabbing a player that's showing another level to themselves and where they can go, and you're saying, "I'm gonna make that move."
But
it's different than most people walking around.
But who does that player play for?
Cubs.
My favorite team.
Yeah.
So if next year he's terrible or he has a slow start like Julio Rodriguez, I don't care because he's a Cubby.
Yeah.
Again, I brought a lower to price just for where I'm at and the things that I'm trying to do outside of cards. Mm-hmm. Right? I have a specific budget that's set aside for cards, and I look for things that I'm going to be happy with if it goes to zero.
Yep.
It would give me much anxiety to sell, save, and buy $1,000 cards, and they go to zero. That would give me way too much anxiety a stress level that I can't handle.
Well, I can tell you
at this point,
even after my research, and I feel dialed in, and I've criticized and scrutinized my own judgment over and over again. Before I make that purchase, I feel a certain way. I feel some little butterflies come up, but I lean on. I know I've walked the road to get here. This wasn't a skip jump. I'm gonna do this. I walked that road. Like when we put out that Steph Curry episode where I sold a LeBron James raw card to buy a Steph Curry graded card, I go through in the episode all Kevin Durant, LeBron James, different players, Scotty Barnes, different players that I've looked at, and who am I going to buy, and then why is Steph? And then at the time what was blowing my mind is that I'm one of the few people making a video even talking about Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm.
You got all these people with all these views and talking about quarterbacks that will never be anything, but no one's talking about Steph. It's odd to me.
But I'll play devil's advocate now, right? In all that research and how strong you felt, your Wiseman collection, the injury in the beginning of the year, how did that make you feel about your collection?
I didn't feel any way. I didn't feel bad about it because I like James Wiseman.
Mm-hmm.
So the day I came out of work and I looked at my phone and I see Wiseman's torn his Achilles, and then a second later, someone that I deal with a lot in the hobby sends me a message, "Hey man, I think he tore his Achilles." Then I'm researching the play, and I see the play, and I say, "Yeah, this guy's gone for the year." Didn't make me feel anything. Wiseman's 23 years old when he got hurt. 22, 23. Just turned 24 in March. Didn't make me feel any way about what I have and I have kept of James Wiseman.
So but let's just say if his career is over, he doesn't make it back to the NBA. You're confident?
I'm confident because I know what road, the same road I went down for Wise is the same road that where I found Shai. It's the same road of where I came up on Steph Curry and wondered why his market was underpriced. It'll be the same road. So what I do is my father set me down when I was real young and told me what to look for to find the next level generational football, basketball, and baseball players.
Mhm.
What to look for in each one of those sports. So that's the road I go down when I'm looking at a particular player. And I got boxes that I check. And if I can't check one box on that player, I don't buy that player. And so when you
that leads me.
Go ahead.
So in that sense, we're the same, right? You're just your comfort level is just at a higher buying level than what mine is.
Yeah.
I'm confident in any Cubs player I buy because they're Cubs, and I'm okay if they go down to 0.
Yes.
Right?
See,
You're okay with, but
I don't care
you're
what
okay.
it is. I'm picking that player and what that player is showing me, and I'm comfortable if it goes down to 0.
And if you're wrong, you're confident in the research you've done.
Yes.
That if it goes to 0, you're okay with that.
And if you line up 2 players, 3 players, a generation, I'm gonna get 60% of them right, 70% of them right, probably 70%, 75% of them correct. I'm gonna get 75% of them correct, but the road that I go down, I'm not gonna miss too many people, man.
Yeah, but again, when you say I'm an average Joe and FD's a 1-on-1, I think we have these same philosophies, just different budgets for our philosophies,
I'm not,
and that's fine.
That's why I'm saying I'm not a 1-on-1.
Yeah.
That's not a. But if you're looking for a player, to me, the one word I look for all the time is consistency.
Yep.
That's why I look at Halliburton. I don't care if you come out one day and give me 20, and the next day you give me 5.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to generate something long term for you. But if you're a person you look at them and they're steady climbing. Shai was averaging about 10 points a game with the Clippers. Went to the Oklahoma City Thunder, jumped to 19, went to 20. You see parts of his game developing. Like right now, I'm looking at him. He's not as polished as a Steph. There are things about Shai that is still somewhat inconsistent, but he's still more consistent than most of these modern day players.
You know what got my attention about Shai?
What's that?
Is the amount of NBA players who was like, that's not a bad trade. That's a bad trade. Shai's going to be special.
Yeah.
All right. Bumping how much basketball we've watched.
Mm-hmm.
When you have Jamal Crawford, Luke Williams, other people from other teams. Who he played with? But you talking about Chris Paul? You talking about people from other teams? Talking about he's going to be special.
Yes.
And that's like, let me keep an eye on this guy.
Yeah.
Again, I bought a Shai last year. Again, sold it earlier this year, beginning of the season. My bad, wrong move. But I bought it at a good price. I remember seeing the card. It was on the table, base rookie, and it was $10. And I just looked at it and said, you know what? That seems like a good price. No research, no eBay, no card ladder. That seems like a good price for that player. Based on what I know. Mm-hmm. Graded 10, sold it for $50 beginning of the year. Made a couple bucks. Great. Mm-hmm. Only thing I'm mad at is that, not mad, because I changed my philosophy to focus on wrestling and baseball, is that I didn't pick up more chats from a business standpoint. Because when I look back at what I bought and sold over the course of the last 6 months, I made decent money buying, grading, selling Shai as a second player to Shai, selling chat as a second player to Shai. Right?
Well, you got to have some intestinal fortitude. Guys come in, Liz Frank, then he breaks his pelvis.
Yeah.
You got to have some intestinal fortitude with that guy to see the light at the end of the tunnel and say, I still believe in this guy. Whoever's been holding chat long term, I would love to see them on some content. Please, if you know somebody in the chat, point them out. Big John, I would love to interview him because that person right there is different. And they deserve, if their chats go up, the person who could see that light at the end of the tunnel and go through those two major injuries and still believe in that player is something different about it.
But the main reason why I hadn't been picking up more is because I decided to focus on what I know more.
Okay.
Wrestling and baseball. That's what I said. I can't spend money everywhere.
Mm-hmm. None of us can.
But think about it, like I probably should have kept Shay as that person to pick up some $10, $15 cards here and there and grade them out.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I'm very happy with what I'm doing. All right. Very happy with wrestling, the way wrestling is going for me. Very happy with what baseball goes for me in prospecting, even though I have not picked up any of the new Bowman, which I probably won't get into Bowman until August, to be quite honest. There's just no need to buy it out the gate.
Okay. Who we got? Nate just gave us Run Good. I just looked up Run Good cards. He has a check collection. I'll reach out to him.
Yes.
I also think the same thing about anybody who bought in abundance in rare cards of Patrick Mahomes when he set a year behind his starting quarterback and then he became who he became. Those are the people to me that the hobby should celebrate because those people are different. But I think these people aren't celebrated because it's not the quick move.
Well, you got to see, right? I want to see the Jordan Love collectors. Who is Minnesota's quarterback? What's his name?
JJ McCarthy or
McCarthy. I want to see people who's been collecting McCarthy. I want to see, right? I want to see people who are still collecting Spencer Rattler because something wrong. You have to like that player because nothing. And I liked him because he was a USC quarterback, so I got a couple of his base cards because it goes to my side PC, for my Gamecocks. But if you're spending big money on his cards after the year you've seen him have, I got questions of why what goes on into buying his cards out of that bad year.
Yeah, they want the home run. Go to ask the question: is James Wiseman playing overseas yet? We're gonna see how that ages. We'll see how that ages. I can guarantee you that Steph and Shea are not playing overseas. And I'm not the person that thinks that everything I see is correct, but I'm going to probably be correct more times than not.
Just remember that Patrick Beverly started his career overseas.
Yes.
And had a pretty good career as an NBA player.
Yes. It doesn't all this sudden talk. It doesn't bother me at all.
I don't know if James Wiseman will play in the NBA again, but I know he's not no LeAngelo Ball.
No.
Who will not play in the NBA again.
No. Not at all. Brenda says, wonder if remote viewers drop in on Fanatics board meetings. I don't know. That is interesting. I don't know. Gold says he's kidding. I mean, I'm just saying. It's
a valid question.
But I'll say this. If you can avoid Ja Morant, big time LaMelo Ball, Zion Williamson, who else can I name?
No. So let's roll about the clock. Because I was thinking about this too while I was driving down today. Update. This is just for you.
Go ahead.
So I seen a post saying that Mike Donlevy is a bad GM or has bad drafts. And they go back to the 2020 draft when they had the two pick and they picked Wiseman. And as you know, Halliburton went 12th to Sacramento. Well, Steve Kerr actually called Sacramento and telling them, hey, this kid is good. Don't change his shot, stuff like that. And they didn't draft LaMelo.
Yeah.
But when you look at that draft, for what that team needed at the time, who were they supposed to draft instead?
I mean, nobody else than James.
Picks 4 through 7, I looked at it. Picks 4 through 7 are no longer in the NBA.
Killian Hayes was in that group.
Right. They're no longer in the NBA.
Yeah.
The only other big man that get drafted in the top 10 was Jalen Smith, and he's a bench player for the Bulls now, or last year was. So
Was Patrick Williams in that draft?
Patrick Williams in the draft, he was 4th.
Yeah.
So he shouldn't be in the NBA. I hate Patrick Williams.
Yeah.
but again, he still wasn't what they need. He wasn't a center. He's a 3. He wasn't what they needed at that time in 2020.
And then think about Anthony Edwards is not compatible with Steph.
Anthony Edwards, and he had terrible workouts with Steve Kerr.
He's been tired in games.
And Steve Kerr told him, told him about himself.
Yeah. And
but even if Anthony Edwards would have drafted him, he still would have played behind Steph. So he wouldn't be Anthony Edwards.
But he's not compatible. He's a guy who has to have the ball and control the ball.
Yeah, he wasn't. If they'd have drafted Halliburton would have still sat behind Steph.
Yeah. And he's not
compatible. Right. And then they had Poole at the time. Yeah. So if you have Poole, you don't need to draft LaMelo.
No.
Same player.
As we know, LaMelo is hurt all the time.
Yeah, but they had take injuries out of it. They're the same player. Poole and LaMelo are the same player.
Yeah.
So you didn't need LaMelo. So who else?
No one.
Were they supposed to draft?
That's when I see these GMs and IG comments. It's like, man, we passed on LaMelo. I'm sick. Like, you don't know basketball. That's just not. That's not what anybody's doing who wants to win.
But not even, with the team. That team was constructed, right? You had Curry coming back from his injury the next year. You had Clay coming back from injury. Mm-hmm. Draymond coming back. You had Poole, who you seen what he could do.
Yep.
Right. Yep. Running a team which wasn't win games, but as a compliment coming off the bench, spark plug, he did well. Like, who else were they supposed to draft in that draft class?
There's no one else.
All right.
Now, the Golden State Warriors to me messed up by drafting a guy that's an offensive player and trying to make him a screener and a pick and roll guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to happen. Until he got to Indiana was the first time somebody said, we're going to let you attempt to play like Turner.
So my problem with Bob Myers and Mike Dunleavy is not the drafting, but it's in the player development.
Yeah, a lot of teams I don't have that though.
Yeah, it's in the player development and the lack of change in their system.
So they're not going to change their system. Like Steve Kerr is not going to change his, unless an all-star like a Giannis comes to town. That's it.
But Tweak says, like, you've been running these same plays for 10 years now.
And you know what their player development is? Let's send this cat to the G League.
Yeah.
That's player development.
No.
Let them get some reps. So, that's what Kerr always says. Let them get some reps. Like, what does that mean? What does it mean to get some reps?
Like, didn't they play college? Didn't they get reps in college? Ain't they practicing every day?
When Allen Iverson came out and some of these other, we can go the lower tier rookies came out in the past. Were they getting reps? Tom Gugliotta getting reps?
You can take it back to Shaq, Chet. When he had hurt his rookie year, he didn't get reps. He was still around the team,
watching, learning,
listening. Blake Griffin, hurt rookie year, was still rehabbing around the team that whole year, and at the very least, got to learn how to conduct himself as a pro player.
But Gold says pretty terrible draft class. I would say pretty average. When's the last draft class besides 2018 that you were like, man, there's a lot of good players here when you look back at it? Look at last year's class.
The Bulls have terrible draft classes.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the draft in general in the NBA has not been good for years.
Yeah.
So it's not just 2020. He says, and 4 championships, 5 finals. Hold up, Jordan.
But we're talking about after 2020.
Yeah.
Right? The one championship they have is because everybody came back healthy in 2022. Everybody came back healthy. But you've seen your player development. If you look at Jordan Poole and his development under the Warriors, not that great. Right? You look at Moody, you look at GP2, GP3, you look at Kuminga, their player development is not great.
No, many teams.
Right? And there's many teams. Clippers, player development isn't great.
They had the worst trade. That's to me, I've said this, it's the worst trade in the NBA history.
Yeah. Sam Presti, OKC, the fortitude to make that trade, right? One, to break up that team, get rid of Chris Paul, get rid of Russ, and get all these young guys and lose. Not to say, but not lose, right? Put a competitive team out to give them time to gel together, right? And everybody looks in Houston. They need to trade and use these draft picks and trade and get Giannis and get a superstar in. But a rebuild takes 5 to 10 years.
Yes.
Right? And they're in year 3 of their rebuild. They're ahead of schedule, being a 2 seed, the team they have. And you're going to stunt somebody's development because of a bad first playoffs for a team that hadn't been in playoffs in 5 years? Like, there's a reason why they didn't trade for Jimmy Butler, right? It's the reason why they didn't do that, right? They're taking that. Okay, see, well, we just got to stick it out, right? They won 60 games. That young core is not that bad. I don't think you mess with that team until you see where they are at in February of next year. If they are a 7-8 seed in February, you make a trade and use your assets to speed this rebuild up with a superstar. If they're 2 to 4, you leave them alone and hope that experience that they gain and that Ime coach them up. Listen, I don't like Ime, but he can coach teams up. He can coach players up, right? And they're gonna play defense. So
let's go through some comments here. I missed some.
I really can't see him on my phone tonight, so you got to take me through them.
All right, Hector says, I like Jeff where others hate him. Hector, can you share what some people have told you? You don't have to name them. Why do they hate Jeff? Smoother says, FT, would you consider yourself a collector investor? I'm a researcher, collector, investor, and flipper. I've sold cars to enhance my PC. Would plan to keep doing that if the right card is available at the right time. Alex asks, what are your thoughts about Burbank having PSA in a new store? I love it. I actually went by a couple of weeks ago and talked to Rob one-on-one and told him I think that's a great move. I think that PSA and other grading companies should have some sort of presence in every hobby shop. I've thought this for a while, didn't understand why it's not happening. I'm glad it's happening now. I
don't think every hobby shop should have a PSA presence, but I think Burbank specifically, with knowing that a place like Burbank, with the name and reputation that Rob has, and knowing that cards are going to go to PSA at a regular place. I don't know if it's nightly, weekly, but at a regular pace, they're going to get there. Mm-hmm. I would feel very confident. Yeah. And I say that because you don't know if it's going to be nightly and things like that, because the inherent risk of it being nightly, of somebody getting robbed for the cars that's taken to PSA, mm-hmm. You know, they're going to have to figure out how they're going to get there. I wouldn't be surprised if PSA and Rob got together and was like, hey, we're going to have armed car service come pick the cars every day or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they hire a guard or somebody who come get the deposits to take the cards to and from every day.
Yep.
Right? It may you listen. You never know, right? We could just have an employee dropping them off at night. You never know what the plan is if you're not the one making the plan. But I would be shocked if it wasn't some armed service dropping these cards off to PSA on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you could do something like that at Bleecker here in New York, right? Because you're right there to the facility.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very hard to say, because I think PSA is supplying the employees for this. It's not Rob's employees that are taking the cards, right?
I don't think so.
So you can't have a PSA presence in Nashville, Tennessee, or in North Dakota.
Yeah.
But in places like Burbank, there's some other big card shops down there. They can have that, and like they do events at Bleecker in New York all the time. So I could see if Bleecker got into a bigger building, to have the president Bleecker as well, because it makes sense that to know that, hey, these cars are going to get to where they got to go on a regular basis through X means. Yes. And you can be confident in those means, because when you worry that you're going to drop off, not saying you particularly have to, but you're going to drop off a $10,000 card to get graded at PSA, even though Burbank, something happened to them. We see what happened to cars coming, go to all these GameStops, and you get cards missing from GameStops from regular employees that are missing, whether it's from FedEx taking them or the employee taking them. They never got the PSA. You see these with cars that are supposed to be under $500. And let's just say Burbank might buy a card, a big value, look over itself, say, hey, you know what, we want to grade this ourselves, and send it over, since we got this direct pipeline to PSA, right? So there's a lot to think about from that. But I think it's great.
Yeah.
For them. I think I don't think PSA should have a permanent presence at Cars HQ.
You think they should or should not?
They shouldn't.
Oh, because you're talking about logistics?
Logistics. You don't have, so that means somebody has to fly these cards back or mail these cards back to PSA.
But didn't PSA talk about having satellite offices in different cities?
Yeah, until they get those offices.
Yeah, I think that's
ran. That's different.
I think that's all coming.
I don't think until the cars can get to you in a 2.5 hour time span from when they leave that place to your place, that they shouldn't be up for having a PSA in there, in my opinion.
But let me just ask you this: don't some people send their cars to PSA through USPS?
Yeah.
I mean, it's better than USPS.
It is. You send your cars to group submitters, but and for me, who's used a group submitter, and some of that you take the responsibility off yourself.
Yeah.
Because if something happens now, you got to read the paperwork very well with your group submitter. What happens if it doesn't get graded, if it gets lost, once it gets into their hands? Well, at the same time, I'm very comfortable. I feel comfortable dropping my stuff off at GameStop, and then GameStop send them through the grade. Just because I know they're gonna use FedEx, they're gonna go out. It's a chain. Just as comfortable as I feel like sending my cards to you and you mailing out with your submission, or the JD or somebody. But it's also the price range of cards I'm sending. It makes me feel comfortable. So maybe I see both sides of it at some point, but I think from a business standpoint, you have to err on caution, err on the side of caution.
Yeah. Smoothness says you can't ever go wrong with a Prism rookie card. You can get better if something's a little bit lower numbered, but it all depends. Depends on what you're looking for. Hector says I'm 45 minutes from Burbank. Hector, we should meet up there sometime. I'd love to meet you. So it was very tempting to grade more cards. Yeah, I think they're going to get. I think it's going to drive foot traffic for them and things will go from there. I've heard more than a few people say they're no longer grading with PSA after the backyard breaks, whatnot fiasco. Can't say I blame them. What happened with backyard breaks, whatnot?
So you didn't see backyard breaks and PSA partnered up to do breaks or something?
Oh, I saw that. Is that what we're talking about? Okay. I saw that. Yeah.
I see that. I took about 2 months off of whatnot. And I think since I've been back on whatnot, I probably only shop with three people and two of them that I know, which is Jordan and Imani.
Yeah.
And then one person that Jordan knows because I was getting cards for a show. But it probably still haven't spent more than $150.
So let me ask this question though: who's the biggest breaker in America?
Backyard breaks.
Who's the biggest card grader in America?
PSA.
So do we think this wasn't going to happen? This was going to happen. Probably already happening.
It's a standpoint of what's people perceive to be morally right versus what people pretend to see as right for business. What's best for business?
Big John, when dollars start clapping, more
yeah.
You know that.
As Eric Bischoff said, controversy creates cash.
That's right. Smoother says Steph is a very popular player and has the accolades. Steph is more than accolades. He is a legendary player that you won't see again probably in your lifetime. Just the way it is. Jordan Brown, Steph isn't sexy. Sexy to me? Why isn't he sexy? What is sexy? What is sexy, Jordan? What's sexy to you, Jordan? LaMelo Ball sexy? What's sexy?
Clip that. I want that clipped out of context.
I just gotta know. Too big to fail. Hold up. Too big to fail will be tested.
And that's this PSA and backyard breaks thing right now. It's definitely gonna be tested.
Hector says by far the majority of hobbyist speculation base so not weird Curry not talked about. People always want the next big thing. But to me, what's proven, right? You get to the next big thing. And people can knock me. Seriously, people can say, well, FD was Wiseman proven. I just saw some stuff as a big man that I have not seen as far as athleticism, touch with shot.
I would say this. Are people still buying current LeBron cards and grading them and selling them? Yes.
Yeah.
So current Curry stuff, low numbered, sells well. I know this because I've bought some, I've graded it, and it sold well.
Yeah. It's going to continue to market.
When you hit a 9 out of 99 insert of Curry, grades the PSA 10s, and sells for $150, I think that's a pretty good indicator.
Yes.
That he's still relevant.
Didn't think about LaMelo Ball. Ain't much going on there. Jordan is Shai long-term collectible guy. Jordan, I think you know the answer to that.
For you, he is.
I think people know that what Shai is bringing to the table, night in and night out, with barring no major injuries, does not fade off.
But so I would say this: you're wrong.
Who? Name one. Name a player.
No. You're wrong in the aspect as while his play night in, night out may not fell off. You just said, why is nobody talking about Curry? as consistent in Curry, as much championship accolade it is, Shai market is propped up on the hype of him winning MVP and the hype of him potentially winning a championship. Once that happens, right, you will see his cards fall in line with people in his accolade and skill and hype range, like Giannis. You see his cards fall down to Giannis levels. That's why I asked you last week, are you planning on selling your cards? Because they do always let you buy them back.
But think about this.
Taking your profit now.
Giannis is loyal, chose to stay in Minnesota, and they're not winning.
Yeah, but he's also third in MVP this year. Third in MVP race.
Nobody cares
this year.
Nobody cares about who's third, fourth, fifth. Nobody cares about that. It's irrelevant. You could be 20th and be third, and people care just as much. It's about who won it and who came in number 2. That's it.
And look at Jokic cards.
His cards have not fallen off.
Okay.
You think they have?
I don't know his market. I don't have to look it up. See, I was gonna say, look at Jokic cards.
That's who I think his equivalent is. How's the Jokic card market going? And it hasn't dropped off. It hasn't fell out. Let me say that.
Okay. But what? How many? What are we? 3 years removed from Giannis' championship?
Yep.
Giannis has still played at an MVP caliber level for most of those three years after.
Yeah, but unless you count the shock in the system of Dame, they've been almost irrelevant. You're a 4th or 6th seed that are going to be put at the playoffs sooner or later.
So again, we have to see if they win a championship. We will revisit this in 2 years.
Yep.
If they haven't done another one, see what his mark is at.
Yeah, look at squad. Look at the squad that Shai has compared to what Giannis has when he won.
I agree, but it's the NBA, so you know what that means. 1, 2, 3, and 4 got to get paid.
That's true.
And this is going to change up.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that changes. How thankful are the Grizzlies that Jaren Jackson didn't make an All-NBA team and win Defensive Player of the Year? They don't have to pay him an extra $20 million. I put it on Jaren Jackson. Yeah.
So during that last 30 games of the season, he wasn't doing much.
Yeah, but you can now fill that team out, upgrade pieces in that team, because you got an extra $200 million to play with.
Yeah.
If you this may, that one thing may not get Ja traded.
Oh, Ja, I think Ja is gone.
I don't know now.
Would you if you're the GM of a team, would you continue to pay Ja Morant? Would you do that, Big John?
What's up that's better?
And what's up? A rebuild. Getting 4 players to come in is much better.
So saying this rebuild didn't work, and start another 5 to 10 year rebuild, knowing that you won't be there after year 3.
Next year, I'll put the ball in Scottie Pippen Jr.'s hand as my point guard.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll build. I'll add players to that. Jaren Jackson Jr. is still there. Ja's not doing anything for anybody.
Right. I think if they'd had to pay Jaren Jackson Jr., you're more willing to trade Ja or him because of the first and second apron. I think saving that money allows you the chance of the GM to put some faith in Ja, put some faith in Triple J, and put some pieces around them to justify the faith you want to put into him.
So Ja's been a pro for 7 years.
Yep.
What have you seen in his resume that says I want to continue to pay this guy. He's hurt every time they go to the playoffs.
Again, don't think it from an owner. Think it's for a GM who doesn't want to get fired. And I just fired my coach. So if it doesn't,
if I'm a GM that just fired my coach, it's even more incentive to get a Ja Morant out of my locker room and a T Morant away from my team.
I didn't know where I didn't see a great landing spot for Ja before. Even though I thought he was gonna get traded. Now it's even cloudy.
Well, he doesn't fit anybody. So he's got to move.
So I sent a report today that Portland may try to get CP3 to help mentor Scoop.
We got to stop. We have to stop lying to ourselves. We have to stop. CP3 is not mentoring anybody. We got to stop paying guys to be a coach when they're not a coach. We said the same thing with Wemby. He has not progressed Wemby at all. And he's not going to do it any place else he goes. Just flat out say, I want to pay this guy. And stop coming up with false claims.
Did he help Stephen Castle?
Did he?
I don't know.
I'm not putting any claim on that. I get tired of this CP3, Pat Bev. No.
So if he helped Stephen Castle, and he was such a help to Stephen Castle, why trade for De'Aaron Fox?
Well, this is my point, and I still don't know who De'Aaron Fox is. Who is De'Aaron Fox?
We don't know.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know. De'Aaron Fox is not that. I mean, he's not on that level, man. He's a nice guy.
I say, has Tyrese Halliburton surpassed Trae Young and Ja Morant?
You remember I told you today
as an NBA player.
I don't think anything of Tyrese Halliburton.
Answer the question though.
I don't think anything of the other two guys. So I think they're all on the same plane. You said Trae Young, Ja Morant, and Tyrese Halliburton. They're on the same boat. Yeah. They're in the same boat, rowing. They're not going anywhere. Those three guys.
One's about to go to the finals right now. Looks like
when you lose, Big John, it doesn't matter who was in the finals. They won't know you until they look at highlight tape. Oh damn! Yeah, Tyrese was there. Yeah, I remember that. Damn, man, they lost to Shai, right? Damn, that's it.
Oh, OKC versus Indiana is Adam Silver's wet dream and worst nightmare all in one.
Probably worst nightmare first because they don't have dunk and Yale players. In today's environment, that's why people want Anthony Edwards to win. You got to be a dunk and Yale player. Shai's basically doing a layup. I mean, he's getting that ball right over the rim, giving the ball to the ref. It's like Barry Sanders got a touchdown.
But if those two teams make it, you can't complain as a small market owner that you can't get players.
I agree.
Right?
Well, yeah, I agree.
Then you also get to say the second apron works because people who got all these superstars didn't make it to the finals. They didn't win, and they had to pay all these extra taxes.
But
out.
You knew when LeBron went to the West Coast, some team had to prosper, and Indiana's prospering. If there's a real dominant team in the East, they're not there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not happening. Hector says by far the majority of hobby is speculation based. So not Will Curry. I think we talked about that. Didn't think that about LaMelo Ball. We talked about that. I want to see Banchero. This is my next up player right here.
Yeah.
This is my next up player. This dude is checking a lot of boxes. He's checking a lot. And this year I saw an aggressiveness and almost a shit talker to people on the court, which I like to see. Shai does it in his own way. Doesn't say much. He gives you a look. I've seen him look at a couple of players on Minnesota. It gives you a look. Gave a few people a look on Denver, and then he starts picking up his aggressiveness. That's his way of saying, "I heard you." When Ann Edwards said that OKC was an AAU team, I heard you, and I'm going to show you an AAU team.
Mm-hmm.
But Banchero's next up. He's checking boxes. He either needs to get support there or he needs to bounce. But if he starts pulling that Dame Lillard, where he's just around to be around and I'm going to be loyal, he's going to hinder himself. But let's say 1 year a Shai and a Banchero or a Shai and another big man or some of these other players or Joker and somebody else come together, a lot of stuff changes. Smoother says, I believe that Shai is a good investment. Jordan says LaMelo is someone that you can't ask FD about. You can ask me about him if you want to talk about 35 games a season. You can ask me about him. We all know who this guy is. I don't understand why we want to put blinders on. Why do we do that? Why don't we just accept the resume? Would you go to would you go to a manager of a grocery store for brain surgery? Would you go to a brain surgeon for your grocery needs? It could be vice versa. Would you do that? Or would you put blinders on and say, oh, it's going to be all right. It's going to work out. Yeah, go ahead, cut my skull open. It's going to be all right. You wouldn't do that. So why do we do that when we watch sports? A guy has shown you his resume, and we deny ourselves. And the guy who's showing you success, longevity, consistency, man, that's boring. That's boring. I don't get it. I like to deal in reality. Maxey is a good player. He got caught in an organization that doesn't know what they're doing, and with a big man who is consistently hurt, probably career ended. And this team will not give Maxey the reins. They will continue to bring in someone else
and stunt his growth.
Instead of giving him
but that's what we're at, but that's what we're asking Houston to do with Jalen Green.
Oh, Jalen Green's done, man. It's
no,
okay.
But it doesn't matter how you feel about it.
Uh-huh.
That's exactly what we're asking them to do to Jalen Green, Asur Thompson, Sengun, bring in a bigger star and stunt their growth.
Yes.
You can take the name of the player on that young team doesn't matter, because that's saying go get KD, go get Giannis. It comes with stunning of the growth of two of your core young players.
Somebody upstairs doesn't believe.
Mm-hmm.
They don't believe. And if I looked at Jalen Green every day, I know why. I don't think that's happening. And I don't think it's happening not because his physical abilities or what he can do. I believe the lights at certain times are too big for him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is.
FD, my phone's about to die.
Okay.
I'll see you next week. Let me get out of here real quick.
All right, go ahead. Big John, appreciate you being here, sir. We're gonna
appreciate you guys. Appreciate your chat.
Yeah, Big John in the house. Have a good vacation, sir.
I will try.
All right.
Thank you.
I'm gonna run through some of these comments and then we'll call it a night. Poole and LaMelo, same player. Similar, not the same. LaMelo with Steph is 1.0 KD model. Poole and LaMelo. I just can't evaluate LaMelo because he doesn't play as many games as he needs to. At least Poole's making 3 seasons. So by that, I'd rather have Poole. But both need to understand more about the game of basketball. LaMelo needs to improve his shooting. He's one of the worst guards shooting the basketball. He scores points because he shoots, but his percentage and efficiency is poor. The Timberwolves will likely lose the series, but Edwards, not likely, smoothness. They were losing this before it started. They beat a team without their superstar. Really, T-Wolves shouldn't even be here right now. And I'm going to continue to say that. Shouldn't be here. But Edwards is still a promising player. Again, this is when we put the blinders on. There's nothing that Edwards has shown really in these playoffs. Definitely not in this series. He underachieved with the Lakers. He underachieved last series versus Golden State. Should have been taking that over. Just really didn't do that. If you believe that he has promise, and when you say promise to get to the playoffs, promise to show up in the playoffs, win championship or championships, tell me what your promise is. I believe he's a player that can get a team to the playoffs. And then there's not much happening after that. You can decide first, second, what round is he going out? Not much happening after that. People have to separate NBA winners from hobby hype players, but they can't. Hobby doesn't mind making money on hype players that don't win. These are facts. Now, Hector just spoke right there. I have to 100% agree. But people won't separate the two. Nate, seems like honestly, they have a hard time developing young talent. They do. Golden State does. Most of these teams do. And the teams that do evaluate talent well and grow it will win. Because you're going to get players at a cheaper price. And you're going to be able to put a lot of players around each other. Look at OKC. A lot of that is organic. Look at all the players that are on that team. A lot of that is organic or through a trade where a guy was still on the come up for a big name on the back of the jersey. GOAT, pretty terrible draft class looking back at it. I think we talked about that. Yeah, and for championship, we talked about that. Burrow cars worth way more than Hurts cars, even though Hurts has a ring. Herbert probably as well. I mean, there's many reasons for that. Many, many reasons for that. It evidently has nothing to do with winning. So what is it? Brendan, the cult of personality can keep people collecting. It's not the merit based on performance. I'm all about performance and what a player is doing and what attributes, what leadership they show on the court and how do they conduct themselves. I'm all about that. So if you see a player that's not really doing that, doesn't look coachable, doesn't look like they can inspire others, can't pull a player to the side and get in that one player's ass to get a better performance out of them, I'm probably out. Terrible draft is the Wizards. The Wizards as an organization just don't. They're not in it to win it. They're in it to grow the value of that team and have fun while doing it. Same with Tatum cards, and he has a ring. I don't believe much in Tatum, even before this injury. I wish him the best, though, with the healing process. Lower extremity stuff is no joke. So I wish him the best. LaMelo doesn't have to win a ring for cards to explode if he changes team. I mean, he can change. Stuff can boom. Still doesn't mean he's not the same player. So I wish the best to him. I hope that he can shoot better. I hope that he is not hurt. I hope he can get through a full season. He has to hope that for himself and be putting the work in right now. The guy's body looks the same as he did when he was a rookie. Smoothness. Popularity plays a big role in the hobby. It does. At the end of the day, though, that's short-term stuff. At the end of the day, you have to be relatable, good with the microphone when somebody puts it in front of you, and can bust someone's ass on the court. All the other stuff doesn't really matter when that starts happening. It was at my local shop. Okay. Very cool. Would that be cheaper or on graders to get graded? That I don't know. Burbank, 30 minutes from PSA office, so it's easy for them. Yeah, it's not that far. Real quick. Hit the highway, you're there. Brendan, do you think if Nat Turner held Michael Rubin's position, the hobby would respond to having an actual collector at the helm? I mean, I don't know about that. You know, we had some people that didn't really care for Nat Turner when he came to PSA. He has made moves that have made people, in my opinion, think more fondly of him. I've met him once. Sounds like a solid businessman. The things he's done with the time frames of cars being turned around and hiring and acquiring SGC. And I mean, I just see things that make sense to me in my mind. So, well, I mean, we got to see what Ruben's going to do. See, I saw him this morning. I think it was Good Morning America or Daytime TV talking about Fanatics Fest. We just got to see what he's going to do. Really, in the world of CEOs, Ruben hasn't been at the helm too long. So let's see what he does. Then we can really answer this question, Brendan. Hector, well, high-value cars are just dropped off at PSA directly. They have weekly drop-off days now. GameStop just mails them to PSA. True. Leighton Sports, what about him? What about him, Jordan? What's going on with Leighton Sports? A reason why Backyard and PSA are working together. Backyard has partnership with GameStop, so it goes hand in hand. Backyard and PSA, Jordan, we're going to work together no matter what GameStop is doing. Most of your GameStops are closing, so this relationship is bigger than that, in my opinion. Joker RC cars are low pop. They are. They're hard to find. That's why that stuff is going to sustain value. And it's not popular. Jordan would probably say it's not sexy. But watch long-term what happens. Most people don't want to make 5% on Curry. They want to make 80% on the next rookie sensation. They love gambling. More power to them. It's going to leave me with certain cars that the 80% seekers won't look for. So people got to do what they got to do. So does FD. Joker isn't a hobby guy. I watch his cars maintain value. So those who want Joker are going to go out and pay for him. Good question. If there are enough Joker cars to go around long term, there aren't, and that's why they're going to retain value. Celtics window closed once Tatum. Celtics window was closed before that. That slammed it shut. They weren't repeating. So when people run around and told me the last several years that Denver was going to repeat, they're not. And that Boston was going to repeat, they're not. Some more Michael Jordan's running around where you're going to have 3, 4, 5. That's almost Shaq and Kobe's. There's multiple championships until those teams solidify themselves. Shai-Gilgeous Curry, not a hobby guy. He's a hype player currently. I just totally disagree. If we're watching basketball. But, Jordan, if you think that, just leave them on the table for me, bro. Smoothness. Problem with Joker is no one's seeing this coming. This is going to be the same thing for Shai. It's going to be the same thing for other players in the future because most people are going to ride the hype train and jump on that thing. And who's at the head of the hype train is Luka Doncic. FD, Pippen is not the guy yet. Who's Pippen? Are we talking about Scottie Pippen? Let me know you're talking about, Jordan. I wonder what the Curry Super Refractor RC would bring. A couple of million. A couple of million. Ja is a revenue-making machine. Is he? And when you say revenue, for whom? Who's making revenue? Let's break that down. Ja is definitely going to do Ja, though. Ja always hurt, but hard to just find a player that explosive and talented. Don't grow on trees. So in basketball, when we talk about explosiveness, do those players win championships? And the dunking, it's almost like hitting home runs in baseball. Looks cool. Is it cool? Does it yield what you want? Is what you want is that ESPN highlight? That's cool. People only watch Grizzlies because of Ja. They know where their money comes from. I'm going to hit a lot of people up when he gets moved. What's Brown have to do with the East teams being good? Brown left the East, so there are going to be some teams that's going to slip into the finals that will get handled. First up, Indiana Pacers. That's what that means, Jordan. Does Shai have any personality, though? Yep, has major personality. He's a professional basketball player. He acts in a professional manner. He has the same blueprint as Steph Curry. And that's what works long term. Yeah, millions of dollars on that stuff. But Steph has the same beginning as LaMelo. No, he doesn't. Not at all. You look back on Steph's career and find out where he shot like LaMelo. Let me know. Send me a note. Send me a note comparing Steph Curry's shooting, field goal, free throw, 3-point to LaMelo Ball throughout his whole career. Not a bigger star, just a scorer. What's your opinion on Kevin Durant and the hobby? Kevin Durant is hard because he's not really relatable. He's constantly at someone's neck about something being said on social media, which I do not understand. But at the end of the day, he's not a leader, so he doesn't lead a team. He doesn't put a team on his back. You have to put a team on your back and take that team somewhere, like we see Shai doing this year, and we see Giannis do, and we saw the Joker do. You got to put a team on your back and take them somewhere. Durant's not built like that. Durant wants to shoot the basketball, play some defense, not really interested in that, and win games. And that's it. That's what he calls hooping. When he says, I just want to hoop. That's all he's interested in. Doesn't plan to do more than that. Doesn't want to do more than that. That's why Golden State was the best place for him. Because he could score. Didn't have to play defense. He had lockdown Clay. He had Draymond. He had other people around to get stuff done for him. He didn't have to worry about that. Any team he goes to now is going to have to worry about that. But he's 30,000 career points. So the hobby is not in of this. The hobby is not going to really jump on him and respect him because he doesn't lead anything. He takes and shines. That's Kevin Durant. Thank you, Nate. I appreciate you, man. I just try to talk about what I know and what my dad taught me as far as sports and what to look at. That's it. I can tell you a player. This is a key player to look at this year. I want all y'all to hear this. Herbert. Herbert, to me, comes across as an overthinker. And it's detrimental to you if you play quarterback. You got to be able to throw an interception, come off the field, come back, ready to rock and roll. And I think sometimes he gets down on himself. So we got to see, and that's the difference between him and Burrow. That's why you see them play differently. That's why you see them have immediate different success and failures. Herbert is the person to watch this year. And I want to see if Harbaugh gives him more of the reins on throwing that football instead of handing it off for the first 6 weeks of the season. Brendan, thank you. I appreciate you. I love this rapid fire through comments. I love this. It gives us a chance. I think Big John and I are going to try to do this more where we talk about hot topics and keep it moving. It's so much fun to me. I could talk about stuff for hours in this format. I love it. Imagine switching MPJ for Durant. Two different types of players, though. They can shoot that three. But Durant still likes to take you off the dribble and have a mid-range to him. He has a lot of mid-range in his game. MP3 less. He's developing that. I would love to see MP3 on the MPJ. Excuse me, MP3. MPJ on the Warriors. I would love to see that. Hopefully that can happen with another big name. With another big name. Hey, I appreciate everyone being here. I look so forward to this tonight. I love the fact Big John was able to jump on. I want him to enjoy his vacation now, and I want us to know that the ball can still keep rolling. With him and his family enjoying themselves for a great cause. They're all celebrating seeing family and Big John's son graduating from high school. I want to send him a big congratulations as well. That's good stuff. I love graduations. They're a step to something. And I don't care what time that graduation is. I've gone to kindergarten graduations and been celebrating first grade. So it's all good to me. But I appreciate everyone for being here tonight. Means a lot. Everybody that's here right now in this room means a ton. I appreciate you being here. We'll be back next Tuesday. Big John will be in. We're searching out more guests. hit me up at rollingwithfd@gmail.com or rollingwithfd on Instagram. And let me know who would you like to have on this show with us. Because we want to talk more about the hobby. We want to talk more about sports. We want to weed out. You know, it's cool for players to come out here and have hype and play. But who's the real deal? Who's the generational talent? And what is that about to do? I remember in 2015 when Golden State won their first championship, people said this was one and done, and it wasn't. Someone else is coming. Who is that going to be? How do we find those players? You know, that's what it's all about. Y'all keep rolling. What's the play? Episode 154. More is coming. Talk to y'all soon.